Welcome everyone back to Vivid Virtual Days, the Roundtable.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hello.
Looks like Jonathan did a wardrobe change already. That's pretty wild. So Patrick made it. So Patrick, I'm going to start off by picking on you. You missed the session, so anything you wanted to add that you missed during that session, you want to bring out that you think people should know more about?
You know, honestly, Doreen and Fabian stepped in and they took care of it all. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. It's been quite a day of flights, so.
No doubt. Awesome. All right, so let's just get right to it. I'm gonna get to the very first question, and of course, looks like it's on RPA. So let's get to it. Gartner talks about hyper automation being a combination of RPA and intelligent automation. How can I make RPA more intelligent? So I'll just start with Jonathan. If anyone else has any thoughts, you could jump in as well. Jonathan, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so this is the kind of pyramid that I just put on my deck. I guess level 1 is assisted RPA. So this is kind of, how do you improve worker productivity? So, it's more focused around desktop. It's more around partial automation. And then the second level is more unassisted RPA. So these are things that are happening, end-to-end automation processes, scalable virtual workers. And then you go one level up, which is autonomous, which I think, those pyramid would make this probably more like 10% you could look at, which are more flexible. They could maybe even go across cloud technologies, so kind of a hybrid cloud models. And then finally, the cognitive RPA, which is kind of where I was kind of alluding to, is around then the use of NLP, processing unstructured data, predictive and prescriptive analytica. So that's kind of your vertical solutions, overlaying them, making business decisions. We're a long way from there, but, I think step 1, and Gen 1 of assisted RPA is really going to help improve productivity. And I think that's probably the use case that most of the businesses are putting together at the moment. And probably the guys, I've got some great suggestions on how you potentially could start that journey.
Yeah, so does ITOM, any other ITOM solutions use RPA, or does anyone see any other value of RPA within ITOM?
Are you asking what's comprised, what's under the hood, or
yeah, like do you see RPA helping whatever with SMAX or DevOps Bridge, any of those? Does RPA come into play at all?
I could certainly see that. Kate, I know you see that from a SMAX perspective, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early to find out the best places that it would be incorporated. But yes, it's a fantastic new offering, and I think we'd probably be able to use it.
Very cool. All right, let's get to another question here they want to know what skills are required to do AI ops?
Yeah, as we talked earlier, that's going to be a mixture, right, depending on the customer, right? So every customer situation is going to be different. And what they're looking at from a pure automation play, artificial intelligence will always vary. But certainly when you're talking about RPA as an example, that's an orchestration skill, right? But there's also some testing skill embedded inside there. There's business process knowledge. If you go back to what we talked about this morning and just look at pure automation, that gets into going across functions such as patching, creating automated patching or taking automated actions associated with maintaining compliance. That gets into network technologies. It gets into server technologies. So it's going to vary customer to customer depending on where the biggest ROI opportunities exist. And as we talked about earlier, a big foundation for a lot of that is making sure that you understand what you've got, where it is, what the disposition of all that is, and that starts with fundamental configuration management as well. So that's a big question, and there are a lot of moving parts from an automation perspective, depending on where it fits. AI ops is very, very broad. It is not just tactical automation.
Absolutely. Anyone else have any opinions on AI ops?
Yeah, I did. I think I kind of showed a presentation I did in Finland on AI ops for Micro Focus, actually. And it was a really interesting because I'd gone to Universe, which, I'm going to give a quick plug for, you can register now for the 2020 Universe in North America and also in Amsterdam. It'll be a great event. But I was in Universe this year in Vienna, and I was chatting with Jerome, who's the CTO of Micro Focus. And one of the questions that I had for him was around kind of this, how do you start using some of this data across all these 600 products or whatever the new Micro Focus estate is, or heritage platforms as well. And partly when I was based out in Silicon Valley, we were working on something we were calling the adaptive data store, which is this capability of taking data from lots of different systems and the languages around that. So the kind of the schema registry of each data structure, and then start weaving them together. So as we just mentioned, that starts off, if you're in your development lifecycle, your repository management, your application management, configuration management, release management, environmental management, NOM, the network management stuff, infrastructure management, data management, all the tools that we've seen for the last few days, bringing data from each one of them and then pulling those together to start building structured data so that you can actually start building these AI platforms to provide insights. So it's a really exciting time. And I think your Focus have probably got the lead on everyone because they've got products in every part of every space.
Absolutely. All right, next question. This is for Dirdak. What is the integration to OpsBridge and SMAC or SM?
What is the integration? Okay, so we basically tie in with these two products to allow you to pull events, so incidents or alerts into our communication layers. So we basically take the information that's available through OpsBridge or SMAX if it's something that needs to be communicated out, and then take over the communication part. And it's like technically, Patrick, if you want to add to the technical piece of it, it's a what we call a native integration. So it's actually a coded integration that makes the whole deployment aspect of it very easy. So you can literally just go to like a web interface on like an our product and just punch in like a yeah.
We need to have some credentials in order to establish the connection with the third party there, and then from there we're able to read the different events that we need to be sending out.
Very cool.
I can also give you another insight on that. As a user perspective, one thing that we've actually seen within the SN for Service Manager, one of the biggest things that we've done right now is you're able to grab a particular groups. So instead of sending it to everybody, integrating your Service Manager with those particular people and those groups, you can actually pull that, get the information right to the end user, and get a better understanding of who it's going to go to and which groups they're going to be getting those particular alerts. That's the whole point of automating your process. That was the biggest part that we've actually seen so far.
Very cool. Awesome. So, Jim, this question's for you. They want to know, how important is the fact that you can call on somebody that provides you with direct advice versus just a regular support hotline?
Well, I wake Patrick up usually about zero dark 30. It's very nice that so we've got 24/7. The best thing about it is they're available when we actually have a major issue, which we had one at one time. They were able to pull from Germany and then over back to the US, which actually was still able to get the issue resolved. By the time the end users came in the next day, it was already done. So that really gives us a lot of insight of what we can actually do.
Very cool. So a lot of these questions are questions that weren't answered earlier in the day that we're getting to. So that's why I think they're more specific. So this one, once again, is for Dirdak. Dirdak, how do you handle support post-implementation?
The simple answer to that would be it depends on the level of support that a customer requires. So like Jim just said it, they're on 24/7. So we provide 24/7 support options as well as what we call 9x5 because it's really more like 9 hours versus 8, but it's generally the regular day that people are at the office. And I said it earlier in the day that important for us really is that we build relationships with our customers. So our support is not directed to a call center or to a hotline to come back to the question that was just asked. It's actually the access to the experts that can help with the issue at a time and can find a solution or at least neutralize the issue ASAP. And that's been a winning factor for us throughout our whole company history, that we really have a lot of customers that have been with us for a long time.
Awesome. Patrick, anything else to add, or should I go to the next question?
Nope. Doreen actually nailed it.
Awesome.
I think
Nailed it.
I don't nail there.
Sweet. Yep. All right. Whitelock, how do you move people from the need for manual process to automation?
I'll start, Kate, if you want to jump in. I think some of that starts with our methodology. And so we work with our customers through what we call our value first methodology that helps begin. We talked about it, some of this morning. It helps guide from strategy through to the solution, including pulling in all the right constituents, making sure that you're evaluating all of the potential solutions. And so you're sort of vetting the various processes, you work together. You don't do it in a vacuum. You don't make assumptions. And then you guide them through best practices and history that we've got through implementations with other customers. That's probably the area of the biggest challenge, is helping customers understand how you move to a best practice implementation when in most instances, customers will say things like, we want to do a best practice implementation. We want to take things out of the box and get away from some of these manual processes. But then when you go to that implementation, they find out it's a little harder than they thought. And so overcoming that sort of that inertia that they can't change, they won't change, they want to adopt, they want to go back to the way they used to do things. And so it's really working with them through those best practices, identifying what those benefits are. And it all starts with that value first methodology. I don't know, Kate, if you want to jump on that.
Yeah, no, I'll add to that. Absolutely. So because we know the product so well, and through the value first and speaking with the customer and all the other customers that we do work with and we've made successful, it's really a challenge sometimes for our customers to say, to let it go, right? Here, we're bringing in our expertise. We've got a lot of good ideas, and just think about what you can, like how many FTEs maybe you can free up if you put some automation in and trust the automation, and then free up those people to do things that are maybe more productive or in a different area. So it is a little hard for some folks to let go of that, but in the end, you're really going to have a better product, a better experience, both for your end users and for the people who are doing the work. It's a win-win all the way around.
Awesome. So next question, I think it could apply to anyone, but it's specific to Whitelock. They want to know, I work for a small company. Can we afford automation? I guess it could also apply to governments, because I guess governments are kind of tight with the money. So let's start with Whitelock first, and then we'll ask James.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, automation can come in so many different forms. So it doesn't require a big budget, big spends. There are places to add automation anytime, anywhere. It's similar. We have a concept, again, I'll use Alex Albrecht, our CTO earlier. He talks about innovation, right? And people think about innovation as being something that you create or invent, but innovation comes in so many forms. It can come in the form of just improving a process or changing the way you go to market, or there's a litany of things. And automation comes in the same forms. AI ops, as we talked about, Jonathan talked about, it cuts across so many different parts of the organization. It can be pretty significant. But if you just want to do some fundamental automation, DIRDAC has got a great solution for that. OO and some of the all elements of the portfolio, and the way they've embedded things in the suite, there are places to embed automation anywhere and everywhere. So it doesn't have to be a big bang. It doesn't have to be a big budget. It's just going back to that process. Make sure you identify where the ROI is, identify what your budget is as part of that vetting process, and you can find places to automate.
James, any tips on how to get people to buy in with the budget for this type of stuff?
Well, one of the biggest layers, especially with the budget, you're allocated a certain amount. Especially the biggest part of the budget is the people. So if you're doing a lot of the automation, a lot of the people that you're not going to be needing anymore can be dealt elsewhere. So this way, we're not going to need as many people. We can set up contractors instead of the like regular people coming in. So there's a lot of different avenues. Especially that's one of the reasons why we picked the DIRDAC and some of the other tools that we're actually allocating with the NA. So that gives us a lot of feasibility with automation. Less amount of people that have to do that work for the cost. And especially with the government, that's one of the biggest things that we actually have to draw is how much budget that you actually have and how much money they're going to give you. So that plays a big role in a lot of what we do.
It's also one of the areas where you can have a pretty straightforward ROI. And so you can find places to get wins from an automation perspective that you can immediately show back, historically had that calculator that said every time, if you feed it the right data, every time this flow runs, it saves us $1.50, it runs 1 million times, and you've got your ROI. And it's easy to then say, look, here's what we've done in the past. It generated this ROI. Let's go to the next and the next. And so it actually can help you increase the budget in some cases because it's one of those places that can very quickly show ROI.
So, Jonathan, I know you work with a lot of larger enterprises, and you always tell me about crazy companies you've worked for. So, any smaller companies you worked with and how you got them to get buy-in for automation?
Well, I'm actually working with a small fashion retailer actually at the moment, and I really like the idea of this value first approach, of demonstrating the value, and I think that's a really good way to start. I've done a lot of automation ROI more on the left hand side, so from the automation perspective, test automation. But I actually literally before jumping on this meeting, I was doing an RFI for an organization in the Middle East, which is quite a large one actually, but actually to start quite small with the value proposition of a small piece of automation work. Now, we know this usually comes in the form of a POC. And I must admit, I am incredibly impressed with just how flexible Micro Focus are and their support guys are at helping you achieve those POCs. And the partners are on today, they've got the expertise as well to make that a success. And they've got the people in the organization who can give you the support you need. Actually, I was helping with a Micro Focus RPA POC. I reached out to the Micro Focus sales guys. I said, can I help? Can we demonstrate the value? Part of that was was pointed out, you can do some of those quick ROI calculations and work out the savings, but start small but with a big vision, I think is my best piece of advice on there. And I used to talk about manumation, so the route from manual to automation. I think actually it's more of a top-down approach instead of a bottom-up approach. So actually start with a vision of what are the business processes that would give you the most value for and savings and improvements, and start the conversation organization there. So more, going more senior than actually starting off at a more granular level. And that, that I think a lot of the partners here probably are very good at talking to those senior stakeholders to get buy-in for automation initiatives. So, innovate, like they said, innovation happens in a lot of different areas. And I think operations is one of the areas where there's so much opportunity.
Awesome. Okay, next question. This question's a little over my head, but you guys are the experts. So maybe you can handle it. They want to know, how do I find out more about the gated.ai methodology for hyper automation?
Sorry.
Is that a ITOM thing, gated AI, or is this for you? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we probably can skip it, but it's so I'm doing a book at the moment on cognitive engineering, and one of the things we've been doing with gated AI is actually part of a European Commission initiative that we've been doing. So there's a AI Alliance, which is anyone can join, and you can check out research papers and publications around AI and also AI guidelines. So I recommend, go to the European Commission AI Alliance, sign up for the papers and the community, just like Vivit, and you can learn a whole stack around what people are doing within organizations with trying AI. So, that's just a quick recommendation. And I think I did a blog. If you jump on my LinkedIn, I did a blog on a gated AI for a startup company that we've been helping build AI as a service offerings to people like Amazon and eBay. So, great case study there to check out. And there's so much good industry insight to go and leverage.
Very cool. Our next question. Not to change the subject, but what has been your experience of being part of RCD, and would you participate again? Asked Rocky. So let's start on the top and work our way down. Jeff, any thoughts?
Yeah, this has been a good format. I would absolutely participate again.
Nice. Doreen?
Yeah, I think I said it earlier that what I enjoy the most is the fact that you do not have to worry about getting someplace and, all the travel expenses and things like that. You can actually participate virtually and get more out of your time, which again rolls back to what we are all trying to have more of, which is time. So I would absolutely, definitely attend again.
Patrick, you haven't been here long, but any thoughts?
I haven't. I'm looking forward to coming back and viewing all the sessions earlier today, but I would definitely do this again.
Yeah,
I think it's a great platform, Yep.
What
was that?
I was saying you could travel from London to London and still make the session. That's how cool RCD is. Cool. Kate?
Yeah, I think it's great. Anytime you can get customers together and find out what they're thinking and what questions other folks are asking, it's great for customers and it's great for us too as partners. So absolutely, we do this again.
All right, James.
Well, that's the best part about it is are we allowed? Are we allowed to do things like this? Come to find out, I didn't even know. With being in the organization, now being a Govy, used to be a contractor. Now I'm actually finding out that, hey, now I'm able to do speeches like this because I am a Govy. So absolutely love to do this again. And would like to now to be able to get more into the Vivit like I used to. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, next questions for Dirdak. They want to know, what separates your product from the competition?
I think we've had this question a few times today.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what makes you stand apart? Why are you better? So I would almost give this over to Jim and say, you speak for us rather than us venting about it.
Yeah. Well, that's the part that I'm not allowed to do now. No, actually, so actually, believe it or not, like I said in the slides earlier, we actually tried to get many different companies, and the best part that we actually saw within DeerDAC, that we saw them as a better partner within the IRS, was that the help that they were able to give when we're able to ask the questions. They were there. They're providing the answers for us. If they didn't have the answers, they would actually be able to get the answers within a timeline, just like any other organization. You have a question or something that they can't do, they're able to start looking at the future. Hey, what can we do to get this to them and to the other customers? And that really drew a really fine line to what we actually are looking for another company that to help us out. Especially, the government, we don't give a lot of money out, so because they don't get to have a lot of money. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Jim, actually, another question for you. They want to know, how was your experience implementing the DeerDAC tool compared to other implementations? I think you mentioned you tried other tools, but not sure what the two differences were.
So I can honestly tell you, with the support with DeerDAC and getting this implemented, it actually didn't take as long as I thought it would actually take. We went from one device that we were actually using, product that we were using. And the reason why we had to go from them to this one is because they were particularly just using cloud computing. We couldn't do that right now, something that they're looking for future. And just getting this up and growing at a quicker pace really panned out, especially for filing season last year when we actually implemented this. In less than 2 months, we were up and running and showing proof of concept, showing understanding how this was actually put into play, and only being a backup became the actual product that they were using. So it actually panned out pretty well.
Awesome. Jonathan, I think this question's for you. They want to know, or anyone else, does RPA integrate with other Micro Focus tools?
So as of version 1, we've got it's two products married together. So it's OO plus UFT. But as we already know, UFT pretty much deals with the entire ecosystem on the ADM side of things. So we've got Octane integration, Load Runner, Performance Center, all the new names, UFT1, UFT Mobile. There's so much flexibility, and they're bringing those product families together exactly on the same on the right hand side. So, I think they're definitely going to start leveraging some of the capabilities. As far as SMAX, Max is the virtual assistant. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of powered by RPA at the back end. And on this kind of note, I just hearing what the guys were saying, I just wanted to go slightly off piste of kind of what the value of these partners are, because I think there was a kind of a temptation to kind of go. I know when I was doing a lot with the government around kind of going open source, do it yourself kind of thing, build your own solution. And actually, as I was kind of mentioned before, I think now things are swapping a little bit in the sense of these enterprise grade tools. And this is what these tools are. Of course, you can download Selenium it's open source. It's a W3 standard. It's great at web automation, but it's not an enterprise tool. It can't deal with SAP GUI. It can't deal with terminal services. It can't deal with all the back-end systems and the proprietary protocols, just like Load Runner. These are enterprise grade tools, and they also accelerate the ability to get those ROI. And if you think of a JMeter kind of landscape of the kind of stuff you've got to build the sophistication as the analysis tools and all the controllers and the maturity of their products, I think it speaks so highly that actually I think it's commercial tools. It's the opportunity for commercial tool vendors. And, Micro Focus are the biggest pure play software vendor on the planet now. And I think, it shows strength, especially with its partner ecosystem and the partners here today who've made this possible. They add so much value from having all of those blueprints and recipes of good practice and how to get success with these products. Why would you try and do something cheap with unskilled resources when you can get the guys who've got proven expertise to come in and accelerate it and get it working for you and get the benefit realization? So partners, because they've got the best expertise at helping implement the Micro Focus enterprise grade tool sets. So that's kind of a bit off piste, but hopefully echoes what the guys are talking about.
I completely agree, for sure. So James, is that one of the reasons why you chose I don't know, with government, do you have to, is there open source versus vendor? Is that something that you deal with, or the experience that you get from using a vendor tool is better than open source?
Yeah, just to top on what Jonathan stated there, that was one of the main courses why we actually try to make sure that it wasn't open source, because we had the opportunity to do an open source, but the manpower, the amount of effort, the amount of time that it would actually take us to get everything up and running, why not go with a proven factor that you actually have out there? Especially what we actually did with DeerDAC, getting the other the OpenView tools, especially Micro Focus, all those tools. That's why we actually go out there and get these enterprise tools, because you want it to get to the end users, and it's the whole point. The end users are who we're actually doing this for, making sure they're getting what they need and understanding of what's out there and what's going on, especially when we're doing the monitoring. We're doing everything from the end users to making sure that the end users are not going to be hit with an unexpected error or something like that. So getting this out there from the endpoints helps us a lot.
Awesome. So speaking about companies and sponsors, just some final shout outs for each company. So Whitelock, maybe an overview of your company for folks that are new to you?
Sure. So Whitlock is predominantly, we're an ITOM focused partner. We exclusively work with Micro Focus. And what we're working on is to help our customers get to that next gen ops, whatever those challenges are. And so help implementing solutions around automation, around service management, as Kate talked today, SMAX as a service, and SMAX in general, process skills associated with that, and helping customers with the monitoring of core infrastructure, leveraging things like OpsBridge, NOM, Universal Discovery, et cetera. So a pan ITOM expertise, as well as crossing into other parts of the portfolio, working with enterprise accounts across the U.S.
And DeerDAC? Or Kate, if you want to add to that?
Oh, no, Jeff said it all. I'm good.
Yeah, DeerDAC is a classic software vendor. Originally, of course, now in the cloud world, you have solutions that encompass everything. But our goal always is to help automate the critical communication that people need to see in order to link machines, events, you name it, to the people that need to be in the know. So we're all about tightly integrating with, as we call it, event sources, and then providing solutions that help accelerate that automation aspect of the whole equation in ITOM and ITSM, where you basically make sure that people get the right information with the right kind of message at the right time, as fast and as efficiently as possible, while at the same time you want to make sure that you can acknowledge and communicate back and forth. And we do that globally with two main locations, one here in the US and one over at HQ in Germany, which is also where the product is actually being coded.
Very cool. And so I usually like to ask this question on my podcast. It usually gets interesting results. It could fall flat here, but here's the question. I'll go around the room, standing at the top. Is there one question you wish folks did ask you, or that I did ask you, that you don't think was addressed enough, or you like people to know more about? So don't mean to put you on the spot, but that's the question that usually gets things going. So Jeff, thoughts?
Yeah, that's got me on the spot. I think there were some pretty good questions. I think the one that comes up that I think warrants further discussion is, where do you start? And in any of these journeys, right? Where do you start, and what's sort of a fundamental place that drives and supports a lot of the other things that we've talked about here today? And we're big believers in the configuration management and how it drives event and how it drives change and how it drives automation, how it drives compliance. It's an area that is I think underappreciated, the challenge associated with that, and making sure that your house is in order. It creates a much better path to success on all the topics we talked about here today.
Awesome. Doreen?
I think being a vendor, the first question that comes to mind is, how can I engage with you? When can I get my test started? Can I get a demo? So no, but seriously, I think just echoing there on what Jeff said, basically a lot of questions were already asked. I think there was a lot of engagement, which particularly early in the day really did surprise me, I have to say, because I wasn't sure what to expect. I believe in the format. I think it's great. I would do it anytime again, but you never know how many folks will actually, post their questions out.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff out there that really, I think, made for good discussions and conversations, which is great. And that exactly, again, proves that this is the right format for the future, because people can just go wild and ask anything, and we're here to answer that. So I'm pretty happy with the outcome.
Awesome. I'm going to use that for my promotional material, Doreen. So that's great stuff.
Go ahead. Do it.
Patrick?
The format is great. The one thing I would like to have seen a little bit more is did we address the question in the way that the person that asked it, did we deliver that answer in the way that they needed it to? So it would have been nice to see some feedback, maybe a little bit on that, but just to kind of echo what's already been said, the whole getting started aspect. Where do I get started? How do I start a trial or a POC, or how do I, get all these great things into my environment and help me, be more productive and save money? So that'd be the only thing I had to add.
So it's a great advice, Patrick. I usually do it for my conferences. I'll talk to Vivek. We'll probably send out an after conference survey to ask what worked and what didn't work, and try to get some feedback for you for sure. So that's great advice. Kate?
Sure. So I think one of the places that I would like to advertise is really the microfocus.com website. When you go to products and you go to Service Management, Automation X, or SMAX, you can actually get a free trial out there. So you can go out, I think it's 15 days. It's either 7 days or 14 days, something like that. But you have the opportunity to see SMAX in action and, use it, right? And try it out, see how it works for you, just really literally out of the box. So that's something I think that a lot of folks don't know about, but the microfocus.com website has just a wealth of information for folks as far as SMAX goes.
Awesome. Jim?
Well, better understanding. You've got the tools that are there. So one of the biggest things that a lot of people try to understanding is, what tools can I use as an end user, as a person that uses a lot of the tools. And these are kind of the places that you can actually go to try to find out what other people are using for the tools. What maybe I can use. So as a user and as an end user, you'd like to know what tools are out there, and especially what can you use for your company. So that's, and what the biggest thing that I drew from here is definitely what else is out there, what can we use, and how can I better acquaint myself with the different tools that can be used for our company. So thanks.
Awesome. And Jonathan, we started the event with you. We're going to end it with you. What are your thoughts, sir?
So I'll add two things. I'm wearing my day job hat for a second. So, most how do you get started with Micro Focus tool sets? We get asked this a lot. And one of the things we're doing at the moment is a lot of digital assessments, right? So I think I mentioned during my talk, every year we do the World Digitalreport.com, which is myself, Todd DiCaprio, and Stuart Moncrief from myloadtest.com, which is a big load runner site. And we run this analysis of 10,000 retailers, and we look at performance, stability, security, and loads of other dynamics. And, it's a free thing. We send it out as kind of an interest to kind of say, well, where can you start? And, a lot of the companies that I deal with on a day-to-day basis started just there. They looked at, they had some security vulnerabilities, and then, something like Fortify on Demand is perfect for that. They've got performance issues, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, January sales, and Load Runner is, and the announcement of Load Runner Dev is great. And then network virtualization capabilities come from Shunra. There's so many great tools out there, but you've got to have the business case to start that. And we all know about people like Costco that went down and they'd lost, I think, 70 million or something. But part of it is, if you can do an assessment to see what state you're in, and all these partners here would be more than happy to help you on that journey to put together that business case of where we can add, the Micro Focus tools can add value. So reach out to them. That would be my first thing. And then I'll go back to Vivit for 2 seconds and kind of talk about really our heritage. So, we've been on this journey as well. So I was pleased Jim mentioned OpenView. So it started off as the OpenView community, Mercury, which you'll know very well from attending that Mercury Interactive conference when you started out, Joe. And then obviously we've come along that journey, and we're now proud to be, the Micro Focus community, and we work really hard with the product teams, R&D, to make sure we're bringing you the latest news on a platform that is on demand, and also is face to face with our ITOM, with our local user groups. 120 countries, a user base spans over, and we, after obviously GDPR, we're talking 30,000 strong user base, active user base, who are the end customers and install base for the Micro Focus products. And actually, I think it's really important that the community gets the support and love that it deserves, and we're there to kind of take the next steps with you. So as new product families come through, like Vertica, and I think we're gonna continue to be here and support you through that. And I just want to say a massive thank you to the volunteers, the staff who are involved, who made this possible. The board of directors who, are volunteers as well. People like Todd DiCaprio, who, is works at JP Morgan Chase in New York, and he has to find the time to help with the Vivit innovation stuff that we do. Bob Cruz is the CEO of Checkpoint Technologies, and, he's a busy guy, but he still finds the time. And everyone else, Chris, obviously, there's so many people we'd normally shout out to at this point in time. But actually, the whole board, and of course you, Joe, for doing 2 exhaustive weeks of pretty full-on virtual content, which is all going to be now available to demand on demand. And that wouldn't be possible without the partners who are here today, who have helped us make this possible. So massive thanks to everybody involved. And if you're not already a member, go to Vivit worldwide.org and sign up today.
Awesome. And once again, thank you everyone for your ITOM awesomeness. Really loved meeting you, loved your sessions, and hopefully we'll work more in the future. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.